As well as choosing councillors this October, voters around the motu will also have a bit of a kōrero about Māori Wards. Joining us now is the Director of Action Station. She's joining us again this year on the Hui. We have Kassie Hartendorp. Kassie, tēnā koe, no mai, hoki mai, e hoa, good to have you. Okay, Local Government New Zealand has said that Coalition Government's bill was a complete overreach. What do you think the government is trying to achieve with the Māori Wards option, Māori Wards kōrero, in the elections this year?
Well, first of all, we had a perfectly good system for Māori Wards working. So in 2021 the law changed and they got rid of referendums, which meant that it was easier for councils to set up a Māori Ward. There was a 1,500% increase after that law changed. And then, as we know, the coalition government has now reversed that law and brought back referendums. And I think they're doing it for two reasons. I think the first reason is to mobilise their base and say, look, we are making it easy for you to get rid of Māori Ward seats. So it's first of all to shore up their voter base. And then secondly, I think it is about reducing the political authority and the decision-making positions that Māori hold. I think it's easier for governments like this one when Māori have less of a say, whether or not it's in government, whether or not it's in council, and this is a way to be able to get rid of those positions.
Do you think the government was surprised by Local Government New Zealand saying what it's saying, by council saying actually they wanted to keep the Māori Wards because it helps in terms of decision-making processes, particularly around things like local issue authorities and things of that nature? What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's amazing that local councils have stood by their Māori Wards because in reality they're working. They make a big difference, they're good for lots of different reasons, they're good for the entire communities. Councils can see the value that they're bringing to their communities. The problem is that this is an ideologically motivated attack on these seats, on these roles, under the guise of democracy. So, we have National saying it's about strengthening democracy, but what they've actually done is overreached and gone into local communities who have already supported Māori Wards and come through and told them they either have to vote against them or have a referendum that they know has a high chance of losing. And then they can wash their hands clean of it and say, look, the community has spoken, it's not up to us, it was democracy in action, when they know it is rigged.
That phrase you just used, this is just democracy in action. Is it though?
No. Absolutely not. I would actually say that it's closer to authoritarianism.
Really?
And the reason is because communities have already decided that they wanted Māori Wards in 45 different areas, more if you include the ones that already existed. And so this is a backtracking, and this is central government telling local communities what they should be doing against their will.
Do you think this will have a divisive effect?
Absolutely. There have been referendums in the past, the government knows this, and at every referendum it causes the people who are the most racist to come out and cause division. At past referendums, which have already had, people talked about abuse, talked about digital abuse, about threats, death threats, to anyone who supported Māori Wards. We know this is used as a vehicle for division and for hate, and the government have basically said, go for it.
What are you hearing on the ground in terms of the flow of the way people are thinking in communities at the moment? Is there any chance that many of the Māori Wards will continue to survive or not?
I think there's a strong chance.
Okay.
We work with over 30 different local contacts and groups who are running local campaigns in their areas. And I'll tell you right now that the energy is incredible. People are so excited. They're already out at stalls, they're talking to people, they're taking action, and I think we have a real shot at keeping as many of these as we fight for.
Why do you think that is?
I think we've come a long way when it comes to Te Tiriti o Waitangi, and I also think that we've had these Māori War councillors on their councils. There haven't been any problems. They've actually contributed to their entire communities, not even just Māori, and people are seeing it. They know who the people are. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to hate. They're there serving our communities, and why not just let them?
Do you think there's also been the influence or the impact of the Toitū Te Tiriti movement that may have it saw a lot of people, particularly on the Hikoi, a lot of non-Māori join that protest. Do you think that also could be playing a part in terms of the way people are thinking about Māori Wards at the moment?
Absolutely. I think that actually over the past few decades, thanks to the people who came before me, certainly, they've really pushed to be able to make sure that we honour Te Tiriti o Waitangi. And I think that we're not living back in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s. People have come a long way. And really, I think that the Treaty Principles Bill and the Toitū Te Tiriti movement have just given people a chance, an excuse to show their support that is already there. I think many of the racist right-wing parties actually underestimate the support out there for Te Tiriti o Waitangi, and this is going to be a test of that.
The government has also announced changes, proposed changes to our voting system that will end up having things like, getting rid of same-day enrolments in elections. Paul Goldsmith, the minister, said this is a package aimed at strengthening our system. What do you make of these proposed changes?
I don't agree with that at all. I think it is a very cynical, bad faith attempt to suppress voting amongst the populations who are less likely to vote for the current government. There is no two ways about it. If you are serious about any of the claims that they've made, you have to also know that people don't change their behaviour just easily in 1 year. There are going to be people who show up at the polls next year on the same day or 12 days in advance thinking they can enrol, and they're going to be turned away at the polling booths, and the government knows it.
Who are the ones who are going to be most adversely impacted by these proposed changes, do you think?
Sure. Well, the Electoral Commission says that the most people who are more likely to vote or cast special votes come from Māori communities, come from Asian communities, Pacific communities, and are young people. And these are people who traditionally don't always vote for governments like this one as well. So in one swift foul swoop, they've managed to be able to do two things: marginalise and disenfranchise more people, and marginalise, disenfranchise people who might not vote for them.
Just one more thing. In the last week, we've seen many people complaining that they thought they were enrolled on the electoral roll and then found as they've gone to check their information, they aren't. Is there anything sinister behind that, do you think?
I think there needs to be more of a look into it, but what I'm concerned about is we've got a government out here saying we need to improve our system by disenfranchising marginalised communities instead of looking into their own existing internal systems and seeing whether or not they're actually working for people right now. There is an inconsistency here. Their priority is not on making the system better, it's on disenfranchising more communities who already are less likely to have a say.
Kassie, Director of Action Station, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Tēnā koe.